Hello, and welcome to the Specialty Matcha Podcast. My name is Ryan, and this is my co-host Zongjun, who also goes by Sam.
Hello.
And we're the co-founders of Zenkyu Matcha products.
Yeah, we launched this podcast to discuss our learning journey in matcha, share startup stories, and interview experts. And today we have Kensuke Suji, or Suji-san, from Zenkyu Matcha joining us. Welcome, Suji-san.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so
Hello.
excited to be here, actually. I'm a big fan of this podcast, so I'm super happy to be here.
Thank you.
Awesome.
We'd love if you could share a little bit more about your background, where you're based, and about founding Zenkyu.
Yeah, sure. Once again, as Zongjun introduced me, my name is Suji-san. I'm a Japanese. My full name is Kensuke Suji. I'm 36 years old. I'm based in Tokyo. My background is I have been in Tokyo and grown up here since elementary school, actually. So I don't have much of an international experience, but I'm Japanese. And I heard I might be the first Japanese to be in this show. So I'm super excited.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you. ありがとうございます. Just to share a bit of my professional background, after graduating from university based in Tokyo, I joined a company called P&G, Procter Gamble. It's an American company. Maybe you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that little company over there,
Exactly. I was hired based in Japan, but I was since then joining that company for 10.5 years in marketing function. So my business background is all about marketing in FMCG. Brands I was working on was like Febreze, which is air care product, like the sprays, and Boom, which is a shaver, electric shavers. So those are some of the brands I had passion and I was running in P&G. I had chance to move to Singapore, but mainly working for the Japan market. And that was my professional career. And I recently started this brand, matcha brand, Zenkyu Matcha. Let me just explain a bit on why. So as a marketer, or as I had expertise in marketing, a good marketer needs to be the professional in that category and the brand. And I was working for air care at the time. I'm confident I was the one who know the most about air care in Japan. Some competitors, but I have to be like this. That's the condition of making good brand and good business. Similar story for shaver as well. And when I entered mid 30s, I wanted to do something for Japan, and I wanted to handle Japanese product for the next 10 years, 20 years, because as a good marketer, I need to have full passion and spend time on that specific category and product. I really wanted to manage Japanese tradition, Japanese product as a Japanese, because I believe it's pretty much underrated. So that was one passion, which is the positive side. I want to talk a bit about the negative side. The life as a marketer in Procter Gamble was very nice. I could learn a lot. I could grow a lot. But at the same time, the pressure on business delivery or making good numbers, keep on growing myself, that was pretty intense. I enjoyed it. But sometimes when I look at my calendar, it's fully packed. And one day I realized it's not, those meetings are not my will. Somebody asked me to join and do something for them. So
know
when
the
I do
feelings.
that, thank you. Yeah. I think it's a common thing, but it happened to me too. So when I do that for 10 years plus, I kind of lost, do I enjoy? What do I want to do in life? Because it was all about managing or kind of answering somebody else's expectation, not fully following my heart. So when I did that too much, I felt maybe from mid 30s onwards, this is not how I want to work for. I should discover myself more. I want to spend time more on what I really value. That's why I just quit. And to be honest, I didn't have an intention to start a matcha brand back then. I just quit and explored what I wanted to do. I was in the library for most of the day, reading books and thinking, talking to myself. That was, what I did right after quitting the job. And then I met Chanoyu, Urasenke Sado, the tea ceremonies, and also Zen meditation. Back in the P&G days, sitting still, doing nothing, focusing on breathing, right? That's meditation. That made no sense to me. Like, that's so unproductive, You need to check emails, you need to attend meetings. That was my feeling. But when I tried, it was very difficult. There's so many mind wandering. I couldn't genuinely focus on my breathing. So that was interesting. And I could subjectively feel what I was feeling back then. Objective. Um, like my feelings, my worries. So I felt a big value on this meditation. And matcha, chanoyu, sado, the tea ceremonies, have a background of Zen Buddhism, and it has a similarities on those
Yeah.
philosophies. That's why I really went into it. I kept on practicing, and matcha became my life work. And that's when I wanted to start my own brand, Zenkyu Matcha. That's the brief story of myself.
Oh, very cool.
Thank you.
Total 180 from, like, I'm sure, very corporate, high-paced world, Tokyo living, to much more introspective and kind of looking in, not out. It's a very,
Yeah.
really interesting story.
It's also, in a sense, very, in kind of like echoing with how a lot of the warlords and samurais back in the day seek shelter, through Zen Buddhism and channel you and seek their inner peace. This is very cool.
Yeah, as Zongjun said, my interest is in that area. I might talk a bit more later, but those interesting philosophies of Zen and samurais, channel you, is very underrated in Japan. We don't care about it much, especially my generation. So I think that's a very sad thing for the world. It's very unique, but nobody really cares about it. So that's what I want to bring to the world as well.
It's kind
Together
of
with
great to see this continuation of thoughts and this kind of a mentality of seeking inner peace through Zen Buddhism and channel you that continues to this day. So very cool.
Yeah, I think the Japanese culture, maybe globally, you might have thinking that Japanese is hardworking. You know, like we, I don't know how to say, it. We enjoy the corporate career. We are very good at answering somebody else's expectation, and that's how Japan grew in terms of GDP and etc. in back in 80s and 90s, right?
Yeah.
That time, everyone was looking for same happiness. Like if I work hard in that big company, I earn more money, then I can buy car, I can buy a house. That was the typical happiness back then. And it was okay. Everyone was following that. And as long as you were there, everyone was happy. You get more wealthier. But nowadays, globally, money doesn't really bring happiness, right? But I feel Japanese are still in that mindset, but their feeling is not there. So everyone has a common sense as a society thinks you should work hard, you should be in a big company, you should do this and that. But we are feeling, is this really the happiness I want to have in the next few years? So more and more benefit from taking time to talk to yourself, thinking about who you are, what you enjoy. I think those are more and more important everywhere in the world, and especially in Japan.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
A very healthy shift that we're seeing everywhere.
I think so too.
Yeah. But it's also interesting that, like nowadays, as you said, that you don't quite see a lot of domestic consumption of matcha within Japan.
Right.
So very bold decision for you to get into this realm in the first place. And also we kind of curious, like what's the reaction from like your friend circles or your
Yeah. What do your friends
life?
think when you
Like,
told them I'm starting a matcha brand?
yeah. What were their reaction to?
I think that's a great question. So first, I want to start by sharing. Maybe you guys know you're an expert in matcha, but Japanese is not interested in matcha at all, in my view. So it's a sad thing, but because we are the closest to matcha, to be honest, we have many unnecessary biases towards the product. Based on this channel yu and tea ceremony, that's the image of matcha for Japanese. And it has a negative bias of, it's very complicated. It's super formal. It's a negative bias that everyone here has. Hence, I talk to some matcha lovers overseas. They come to Japan and get shocked, because matcha cafes are only in the tourist location, not in the Japanese places. And when they talk to Japanese friends, enjoys matcha at home. Nobody has chasen, I think. And to be honest, I didn't know any matcha brands before entering this category. So Ippodo,
Really?
Koyama, and I have never heard about it. They don't
Really?
do
That's
promotions.
interesting.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure most of my friends are the same. But to answer your question, because of that bias, when I first said I'm gonna do matcha brand, Everyone was like, why? That's an outdated thing. That's a product for grandparents. What are you going to do with it? That's kind of the reaction. Nowadays, it's getting different because the global demand, as you may know, is super high. There's a lot of news going on here too. So some people who are close to the news, they know globally it's a big trend and they understand why I'm doing this from the business standpoint. But the first reaction is always very negative, to be honest. And one more thing, yes.
本当にです。
Exactly. Nandit, why? Yeah, one more thing is it's my viewpoint, but this Zen Buddhism or religion related topic is somewhat taboo in Japan. I think it's one of the countries where Christianity has the lowest percentage in the world. I think it's less than 2% or something like that. So most of the Japanese don't have a religion, and we do have another negative bias because there's a lot of shocking news caused by a small religion groups that did something bad to the society.
Yeah, the terrorist.
Those kind of trauma is there. Talking about Zen or Buddhism, some people don't really like. So I'm working on this a little bit of controversial area. That's my message. So it's easier for me to talk to overseas person like you. To talk to Japanese, I need to choose my words. And if somebody has a negative bias, I cannot convince that person that that sounds like a good business. So that's a little bit of struggle. But these days, especially the younger generation, they're more open-minded. So it's getting.
So, in founding the company in the very early days, or maybe when it was just an idea, I guess you could have two choices. You could pursue the domestic market and do sort of a contemporary matcha ritual for Japanese people, or you could focus on the international market. So, how did you decide which to do, and like, what was that thought process? And did you ever consider focusing on the domestic market, or is it just there's too many cultural barriers, fixed ideas about what matcha should be, and it would be too difficult to do?
Right. Thanks for the question. Because I come from the marketing background, I approached in a marketing or consumer-based way. My style is always consumer-based, how we can fulfill the potential needs. So at the beginning, I was open to any consumers. And my first approach is doing more interviews and searching, doing some research on the market. Japan market is shrinking. And when I talk to consumer, the reaction is exactly what I shared. Nobody really cared about matcha. And also, when I look at the market, there's so many good competitors. Very nice competition. Of course, the matcha lover like Maruki Koyamaen or Ippodo, Masa Koyamaen, those big legendary companies were there. I had zero knowledge, but the more I researched them, they do produce a very nice product in a very reasonable price here in Japan.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
the competition will be harder. The market is shrinking. I couldn't crack the insight of consumers to newly start having matcha at home. On the other side, when I talk to the foreigner, non-Japanese outside of Japan, there's a huge, I was interviewing like 1 year before, but there was a huge interest towards matcha. I was shocked that everyone first knows matcha, right? But that's an amazing thing. I didn't know everybody knows. And when I talked to Ryan, for example, you were sharing this, no, maybe in this podcast. Your podcast is one of a good information source for me to understand what's happening outside of Japan. But I think you were sharing a story of, Starbucks in Chile or somewhere was having matcha latte. And so I was shocked with that story as well and found out similar things are going on everywhere. So there's a very good potential that more and more consumer might enjoy having matcha at home in the near future. And when I check the market using your podcast as well, I felt there's a lot of, how to say, the product quality is not always good outside of Japan.
It's a big mix. Yeah.
Right. And I heard there's many, how to say, brands that's not so doing a good thing of maybe not from Kyoto, but they say they're from Kyoto. Those stories I found.
Yeah.
So there's a huge gap on the demand and the supply side. So that's where I found some opportunity for me to help.
Interesting. That's awesome.
Very cool. Actually, so out of my own curiosity, so because we have talked to a lot of Western brand owners who came to Japan and tried to source tea, tried to find tea. And for them, it comes with a lot of difficulties in terms of like cultural and language barriers. Like, how was your experience as a Japanese, younger Japanese generation, try to source tea, source matcha, like in all of these, very traditional tea production regions like Kyoto?
It was tough for me as well,
Too.
to be honest. I think it's easier than non-Japanese, to be honest, because I can communicate at least, but it was still tough. I think it was because I entered the market a little bit late,
Right.
So when I did the negotiation, it was 1 year before. Back then, there was already a lot of foreigners in Kyoto who is trying to source. Like, I went to this tea matcha tour and everyone was non-Japanese. And after that tour, everyone was trying to do a business meeting with that tea farm owner, hey, I'm a cafe. Can you source me? So those kind of negotiation was happening already everywhere in Kyoto tea farms.
Interesting.
So for me, it was a little bit difficult already. So I went to many farms, but some didn't really listen to me. But at least I could find a good partner who I'm very confident about taste that they offer.
Mm.
So I was lucky. That's it. It was still difficult. And I think I'm hearing it's getting even difficult. Most of the suppliers cannot fill the order of the existing customers. So nowadays they're stopping any new contracts. So it's going to be even difficult.
That's crazy, even for you.
Right. But I think, I enjoy the journey. And I think the category will have a lot of innovations. I think you guys are one of the runners there, right? You're trying to bring a new solution to this situation right now. There's so many unproductivity. Some people in the industry is trying to innovate. So it's going to be a very, very interesting category for the next few years, I believe.
Yeah, we're excited too.
A lot of opportunities.
Right. For example, I think linking to what you guys are doing, but when I talked to the farmers in Kyoto, they were saying like, hey, we are short in matcha supply. And I was just interviewing them why that's happening. At the end of the day, the root cause was stone mill productivity. It's not about the leaf, They have the leaf, but the factory who owns the stone mill is super packed. They cannot make the powder. And as you know, stone mill 1 hour, 40 grams, right? So that's the difficult part. Sometimes that becomes a root cause, not the tea leaf. It's an interesting thing. So then how can we make the stone mill production more efficient without sacrificing the flavor and the taste? I think that's a big business question.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
We're excited. It's a crazy bottleneck, actually, that there's not better solutions for milling and that it's such a protected craft. Because we were even hearing recently that even just the maintenance on Ishiusu, commercial Ishiusu, is like another gigantic bottleneck, and that not only can you not find stonemasons to come, refinish the stones, but the machines break. Like, it's a bit complicated to fix, and usually you have to bring back the company that you sourced it from to do the repairs, which can take forever.
Right.
It's an unfortunate bottleneck.
That's true. Yeah. So trying to own a stone mill outside of Japan is going to be very, very difficult from that.
You have to be very brave. Yeah. So how did you go about like selecting what you wanted to source and what you wanted to like offer from like a SKU or product kind of lens?
Thank you. First and foremost about the matcha product, because I come outside of the industry, my single biggest criteria is it has to taste good. The taste is everything. There are many factors, right? Single origin, blend, stone mill, organic, first harvest. There are many, many things that decides the product, but the important thing is it has to taste good. And I came to that because when I interviewed the overseas matcha lovers, they had the similar taste preferences as Japanese. So it was a big finding for me that globally, good matcha, the good taste of matcha is similar. Bad taste is similar. They don't want bitterness. They want a little bit of umami. Those things were really similar. That was very encouraging. So I had to trust my feeling and some of my company members' feeling and select the best matcha that has a good taste. Another weird story about Japan tea industry is, I think it's similar to Japan craftsmanship. They go too extreme. The consumer is not there. They just
I
go
know what
too
you mean.
extreme. Yeah, and one thing for tea is that tea farmers and the blenders, they try to make umami as much as possible. That's for the green tea industry. And when they value the grade of the tea leaf, this is including sencha and more about sencha actually. But the more umami you have, the more higher grade you get. So there's no consumers. And when as a consumer, when my generation drink that super umami sencha that costs super high, it doesn't taste good, really. It's like too strong amino acid. It's like, I feel like I'm, how to say it, like drunk or not, something like that. It doesn't feel good. So maybe you should try. But so that's the tea industry. So it doesn't mean higher grade or the industry evaluation that didn't matter for me. It's all about how we feel, the consumer feels. And I was lucky to work with one very nice blender in Kyoto who share the same philosophy as me. He doesn't care about like handpicking, for example. Handpicking will increase the cost significantly. And that person, his expertise is how to blend different matcha tea leaves and come up with a very tasty one with not the crazy price. So it's his philosophy, and I really like that one. And I believe we found a very, very nice matcha product, which Ryan, I think you tried.
I did.
And
It's very
yeah,
good. I was very
thank you.
impressed. It was really
Some for
tasty.
me, Ryan.
Yeah, I know.
I will. And another product I have is latte special blend. It's good to have as a sucha as well, but when I interviewed consumers, cow milk is the main milk here in Japan. But when I interviewed outside of Japan, milk is number one, and there are various milks like pistachios, almond, soy, and it all has a very unique character, which the high grade matcha doesn't blend good, good enough, to be honest. How do you say? Complicated umami, sensitive umami disappears because the milk's flavor is too strong. So we created one product specializing for a latte, and it has to have a very strong matcha taste that doesn't that blends well with the milk. So that was a philosophy of blending that product, and I made sure the grams is bigger because for latte, 3 grams, 4 grams is better in taste. So those are some
Yeah,
of the
that way the
philosophies.
same number of servings per bag.
Exactly, exactly. So my point is really about the taste is number one priority. We need to make a product that consumer loves, a good one. And one more thing to add is because our mission is to elevate matcha from just a drink to a ritual. For ritual, chasen, the whisk, is very important. And as you may know, there's a global shortage or the Japan shortage in chasen as well, the bamboo whisk. So I had to find some good supplier on that area as well. And also, even they're pretty expensive because it's handcrafted. How can I have my customers enjoy this whisking without purchasing this expensive chasen? So I came up with paper chasen. I searched a lot. I could find a good person. He's a matcha geek. And he created this paper chasen by himself. It's an origami paper, and I'm
Very
making sure I attach that paper chasen to all the purchasers so that they can start even without the bamboo chasen.
Oh, it's
Very
awesome.
cool. Very
And
cool.
I received one in the mail when I got those samples, and that was so much fun. Just
It's
like the
fun, right?
joy
Yeah.
of putting that together was I don't know. It's an extra because you get some satisfaction too because it's flat packed. So like you have to do all the things yourself. It's kind of like putting together IKEA furniture. It's like really high sense of satisfaction that I did. I was part of the craft of making this tool.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Glad
it's
to
your
hear
value
you.
add
Ah,
in this process.
question. So like Zongjun and I have had some CPG, FMCG experience, so like consumer packaged goods and things that are ready to eat, ready to drink in Japan. We used to do quite a bit of work. And it was from everything from instant soups to ready to drink teas to various off the shelf products. And in no country have I ever worked in. We have quite a bit of international food and beverage experience
Mm.
across every continent, actually. I've never seen a more consumer centric culture at the CPG level. The companies we worked with cared about every single detail. And we were specifically on the sensory or flavor side, just like these little tiny minute details. They cared about every single one and
Mm.
how the consumer thought of it, if they liked it, if it was good or bad. If we removed it, would that alienate some consumers and make other consumers love it more? It was actually some of our most sophisticated clients worked for consumer packaged good Japanese companies. And that culture does not seem to have touched traditional industries. And as you mentioned with tea and with sencha, there's these like really strange assumptions that the entire industry operates on about how to optimize for quality. And it doesn't feel like, one, the Japanese consumer is not considered, and the international consumer is like really not considered. Like, why do you think that is in these traditional industries when you do see that consumer-centric culture in other parts of Japanese industries?
It's an interesting question. I only have a hypothesis. So big companies in the tea industry like Itoen, Asahi Beer, Kirin Beer, all those, they are good at marketing and good at understanding consumer needs. I think they learned a lot from the best practices from European companies as well, because marketing in general, Japan was not so strong, to be honest. But they catched up really quickly. Now they are best in class. And that's with a combination of the attention to details in the craftsmanship side. So always the product quality, I believe, is pretty much good in Japan. Like when I was in Procter Gamble, the domestic companies are the competition. They are not really big globally, but they're super strong in Japan and their product is really good. So, that's the quality of Japanese big companies, which I think if they could find a way to sell globally, it can fly even bigger. That's how I view. But not many Japanese can operate in the global environment, unfortunately. So that's a big opportunity. Now, the traditional side, it's a different world, when I go to tea farmers or the craftsmen who make chasen, etc. I think their motivation is more product oriented.
Mhm.
They want to create good product, not to fulfill consumer needs, but for their pride and stuff. So I think umami is one big example, right? It's not about consumer. They want to make the best umami ever. That's their motivation. So I think, because they didn't do that too much, they couldn't pick up with the consumer trend that changes over time. This one is why a lot of traditional Japanese craftsmanship is keep on decreasing. Like sake, for example, is a good experience. My grandparents was running a sake business. Before the beer and stuff get big in Japan, it was all sake. That time it was okay. Every area had their own brands on sake, which was very nice culture. But they were just focusing on creating good product, and they couldn't really catch the market shrinkage from beer or the alternative coming from the Western side, right? So now the number of sake production is keep on decreasing. Now they just started trying to expand to overseas, but it's pretty late, So I think this consumer-centric and marketing is a big opportunity for Japan's small businesses, small categories.
And
Yeah.
then once they do that marketing, you get some consumer engagement, and then you can kind of get some data back about the
Right.
consumer needs and what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
I I can be a good success model, to be honest. You
Yeah.
know,
yeah, that would be
because of
great.
my uh, passion to work on Japanese product, kind of explored many areas. Unfortunately, some of the traditional thing like how to say pots and stuff, it's sometimes outdated. There's a lot of techniques, unique ones going in that, but it's all about how do I use this product in the everyday life? It's like heavy. You need to. It requires a lot of maintenance. So those products, unfortunately, I think it's very difficult to sell globally because it's
Yeah.
history, but no benefit. I think benefit matters.
The other thing that I feel the same way is a Japanese kitchen knife. It's so nice, so sharp. It really requires a lot of maintenance to make it.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
If you take really good care of them, like they really performed. But like if you being a little bit slack, they get rustic, they get like they chipped if you end up
Mm,
cutting like bone or for knives that are not supposed to, using it as a cleaver. So it's yeah, it's interesting.
yeah.
And also, especially for tea, I feel like, because, traditionally the consumers, the quote unquote consumers for Japanese matcha, it's not really everyday commoners like us. So there's a very different, I guess, quality standard, I would assume, historically, that kind of cascade down to, nowadays market. That's my observation. I don't know if you feel the same way, Suji-san. But definitely we're seeing changes, but it's just happening slowly.
Yeah, my hunch on this matcha is similar as mindfulness. Mindfulness, I think the origin is the Asian world, like Japan, China. But as said, Japan had a little bit of negative bias towards the religious stuff. So nobody valued those kind of thinking. But I think the Western countries found this concept of mindfulness and Zen Buddhism, for example. Steve Jobs, Google, they are very good at making rationales, study on the benefits, making programs so that everyone can implement in everyday life. And then it came back to Japan. We didn't value, but the Western countries valued, and we were like, maybe it's a good thing, and we did it again. So matcha, I'm pretty sure the same thing will happen. In fact, when I talk to similar generation people and explaining all this stuff, they get really interested. And some people already tried and they're continuing, So I think it will come. Right now, there's so many negative bias, to be honest. So for the matcha lovers who come to Japan, don't get shocked. Nobody drinking matcha, and matcha bars are only in the tourist place.
Wow, you have a very different battle to fight, Suji-san.
And you picked a very interesting path because it's very unusual to have a Japanese-founded international market-facing matcha brand. I actually can't think of one that's not like a really old traditional house. Any
Yeah,
matcha
like
companies that are
contemporary
Japanese-founded,
brand.
contemporary brands.
Right, right. And I enjoy really. Like I get orders from unexpected countries, which is really fun, and I can have DTC. Good thing is I can interact directly with consumers. Those are really fun. And by myself, I am believing I share the same vision as you guys. I understand you guys are trying to bring freshly ground matcha to the world, right? And approach might be different, but I feel the same. And matcha, high quality matcha is really good. It's a life-changing thing. So I hope
Totally.
I can bring that as much as possible. And I worked on the logistics first, to enable the global shipping. And the matcha good thing is it's light and it's small. So it's easier than the good Japanese food like fish, sushi, or fruits.
Yeah.
That's going to be very difficult. But matcha is easier relatively. So I believe there's a big opportunity.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Where have you seen the most uptick in business, internationally speaking? Is it mostly coming from the US or from Europe or from other markets?
And also, what is the most surprising country that reached out to you?
Oh, yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, it was interesting. As expected, US was big. By the way, I recently started, so it's a small business still, but US was big. First, Europe was okay, but nowadays I see the Middle East picking up really rapidly.
Middle
It's
East.
very interesting. I have to learn more in this area, but Middle East, Saudi Arabia, UAE, those are big orders. And interesting countries, which I really enjoy seeing in the Google map is like, uh, Maldives, Cyprus.
Cyprus. Okay.
Those are interesting, countries, but I'm seeing it is actually a worldwide content.
Yeah. I
Very
think the
cool.
Middle East market is actually very underserved at the moment.
Mm,
We've gotten a lot of outreach from people in the Middle East, and it's because their cafe culture is so strong.
mm,
And you have people hanging out at coffee shops as sort of at a third place because they're primarily they don't drink alcohol. So like a lot of the social interactions are happening at cafes, which stay open until like 2 a.m.
mm,
I used to do a lot of work in Dubai, and I was just shocked at the quality and the experience of cafes there. And
mm,
I remember seeing some matcha, but it really feels like I haven't been back in a few years, but it really feels like it's picking up because people want something that's a little healthier and a more balanced energy profile. And
mm.
we have yet to have seen someone really come in and own that market from a brand. There's a couple small regional players, but it seems that it's a very underserved market at the moment.
Yeah. even in places like Egypt, there are like 3-4 new like matcha cafe just popped out in Cairo, like in the past 1 or 2 years. I've been using Cairo as my kind of a point of transfer, flying between Asia and the US, and yeah, it's like really blooming right now in the Middle East.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big
it's fun to,
opportunity.
yeah, it's big opportunity. It's fun to be in this industry, really. Like this
Yeah,
emerging.
it is. I mean, and like to set the pace right in like these emerging markets, because it's like the first players that come in and it's those narratives that end up winning. Because like I think in some markets, we just talked with someone from the Philippines, and a lot of local players are mislabeling matcha. That's not even matcha. It's fake green tea powder. It has additives. It's a very different battle because consumers are already aware of what matcha is. They've been tasting this fake product. That fake product becomes their reality.
Right.
And now you have to do all of this work from all of these brands, reintroducing what matcha actually is. And it's the opportunity to get it right in these emerging markets that are just beginning to like want matcha is so high. And if the Japanese market doesn't fill it, then like China will, Indonesia will, Vietnam will. Thailand, I know in Chiang Rai, they're making some there's some joint venture with a Japanese company up in northern Thailand making something that's sort of like matcha. The color doesn't indicate it, but like these other, like the opportunity exists, but it's really important that they get good supply early on
Yeah.
so that people can form a real preference for the real thing, not for, I don't want to call it a fake thing, but for something that really is not what most people would consider matcha.
I agree. I think, I wish everyone can have a chance to taste the real high quality matcha. And that's my wish and your wish as well. And I was inspired by your conversation on calling it as a specialty matcha and your reference on the wine, coffee, how Japanese government can do a better job in this area. I totally agree. I have to catch up on this area, but right now there's no rule at all on definition of matcha, how to grade, what ceremonial means, etc. So those are interesting conversation that I hope will come up because nowadays everyone can talk about, hey, I'm matcha, I'm ceremonial, I'm from Japan, etc. So
Yeah. Even like from Japan is not like safe either. Like we've heard like people like start milling like sencha gyokuro, and it's
Trying to
not
pass it with
matcha
matcha.
either.
right.
It's
You know,
very complicated right now.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
easy to make a powder, so they do a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but like once you try the real thing, like it's a big difference.
Mm,
I guess the product itself will tell the story by the end of the day.
I hope so.
Or they just invent a new category. I mean, imagine a Gokuro latte. Like if you powder Gokuro like you do matcha, and it's like a big white space open field. Like that, I would like order a Gokuro latte just to taste it. And maybe you can do something to make it taste good. But like trying to pass that off as matcha is just preying on people's ignorance.
Yeah, bastardizing the name of matcha.
Yeah. But what could be a very interesting product on its own. Like it's, just don't call it what it's not.
Like hojicha powder. That tastes good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hojicha is said to be a next trend after matcha. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's what we keep
I
hearing.
haven't felt that much, but let's see.
What's your personal preference on hojicha and hojicha powder? Do you like it?
Yeah, I have one product actually as well, which is
Okay.
the Gukuro stems, which has a lot of umami. So it's premium Hojicha powder. I like it, especially it has low caffeine, as you know. So in the evenings, and the ritual or the process is same. So I like it, but it's for latte, really. That's what I felt. I tested many things. It's not good to drink at its own. It's not that good. But when you blend with milk, it tastes really good. It's similar to coffee, like of the
Yeah.
roasted process. So maybe for beginners, it might be easier to enter the market.
Yeah. It's a nice bridge product.
Right. And it's more reasonable pricing versus matcha. So
That too.
Oh yeah.
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 Indeed. So just sort of as one last question, love to know what your future plans are at your company this coming year and into the future. Like what's your growth plans and how would you like to see the industry change as we all move into the future together?
I think we have discussed, but I just started the business and I'm enjoying the journey so far. Our brand is rooted in the good product and the ritual, making matcha process a good moment to pause in busy daily life. I forgot to tell this, but when I interviewed matcha lovers who make matcha at home, I asked them, hey, do you drink matcha? First, they say it's for health benefits. I like the color. I like the taste. But when I say you like the process of making it, and they were like, I haven't thought about it, but I realized that's where I value the most. So carving out some time in the morning just to
Hmm.
calm down, enjoying matcha, the whisking and the drinking process they enjoy. So I'm very confident that this can be a new habit to everyone is busy. Everyone might be tired, overwhelmed, but matcha has a power to pause. Zenkyu's Q is meaning pause. So there's in Japanese. I want to create moment to pause through the matcha preparation and drinking. Good or bad matcha, you have to drink it after you whisk, you know? You cannot let it there because the taste will be bad. So I want to make this new habit as much as possible. Through that process, I wish I can contribute to everyone's health and mindfulness, which is very important in the life today.
Indeed.
That's my vision. Of course, I want more and more people to try our brand and this whisking process. So that's what I'm trying to do. This wise, I don't know. I'm thinking of opening some stores or collaboration with cafes.
Oh, cool.
I'm still exploring, or
In
maybe
Japan
like
or
my
elsewhere? In Japan
and
or else?
anywhere in Japan maybe first, but the the focus for me is I started online, but I want to make a place where people can experience the brand, experience the whisky. And that can be cafes, hotels. I'm still considering, but I hope I can make some good plans and good collaboration.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, really
Thanks.
helps kind of extend the reach and the leverage. It's when we
Yeah.
all work together and partner, especially getting
Yeah.
it into places that, matcha wouldn't normally be too.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
And we really hope to see like more and more younger generation Japanese persons, people like you, Suji-san, to join this journey with us.
Yeah. I
You
hope
guys
that's
are really the future of good
Indeed.
Japanese matcha.
Yeah. I was, wondering because it's a big trend, globally. It was anticipating more and more young generation to enter the category, but not so much, to be honest. I'm just checking the press releases in Japan.
Hmm.
Not so many.
I hope you become a success model for to inspire others.
Make matcha cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then people will join. That's
Well,
awesome.
thank you so much for coming on. It was great. It was great talking, great learning the story, and you have a really good product, and it's really like well priced for the quality. It's having tried it myself, I really have been enjoying it.
Thank you so much. No, thank you so much for having me. It was one of my dreams when I started the matcha brand to join this podcast.
Wow.
Well,
Really,
I,
I hope I can come again and share some even more interesting stories. So I'll do my
oh, of
best.
course. Yeah,
yeah.
anytime. Love
Yeah.
to have you back on. And hopefully we can meet in Tokyo. I'm sure Sam and I will be there, maybe if not this year, early next year sometime.
Yeah,
Mhm.
let me know. Let me know.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on. To our listeners, thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed it, please consider sharing it with a friend. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.
See you in the future.